Hey, my friends, it's Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. And the other day, as we were cruising through Matthew 26 together, I don't even remember what part we were looking at. Oh, yeah, we were talking about when the disciples fell asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane as Jesus was like, hey, come pray. And I don't know, what came to mind was just the fact that this would be the last time that they would ever be together. And then I remembered, I don't know if you recall this or not, but I remembered some stupid meme that I saw on the internet. I think it depicted the kids from The Sandlot. I don't know, because this is weird. As much as I like culture, I've never actually seen The Sandlot. I've just absorbed a lot of those details osmotically over time, whatever. But the meme was basically saying, like, just think about this. None of you knew the last time you went out to play with all of your friends in the neighborhood, that would be the last time that you would go out and play with all of your friends in the neighborhood. Life is divided up into these little chapters that you sort of feel when you're in it, but it can be hard to tell the lines between them. Like, some of those lines are really distinctive. Like, I went to college after my senior year of high school, and I remember what it was like to go and get dropped off, and now I am in college. That was very distinct. I walked down an aisle to the sound of bagpipes to go and meet the love of my life, and then I was married. That was a new chapter. My wife gave birth to my beautiful daughter in our bedroom with the help of a lady who was kind enough to be there to deliver a kid. And out came my little girl, and my first impulse was, I need to show her the world. And also, like, she looks cold. I got to put something on her. And in that instant, I just flipped from, I have no idea what it would be like to be a dad, to, whoa, I'm a dad now. Okay, I don't totally get it, but game on, new chapter. But a bunch of other chapters, they just happen. They sneak up on you. There's one conversation or one drive or one little moment, or maybe one yes, or maybe one tragedy, or maybe one stupid decision. So not all chapter breaks are hard breaks or clearly observable in the moment. Some of them you kind of figure out after the fact. But there's beauty and tragedy to that. You don't want life to just be one long chapter where defiantly you remain in a state of arrested development and battle all change at all costs so that you stay immutable and exactly as you were, because whatever version you landed on, that was the perfect thing. Like, come on, it's gross. It's not healthy. Like, we grow and we change. We learn things. We have experiences. I think that there's a God who gradually nurtures the soul of the individual toward something more, toward even closer union with him. So these chapters, they're a good thing. But also, like that little Sandlot meme about nobody knowing that this would be the last day you went out and played in the neighborhood with your friends. Also, there's a gravity to that. There's a beauty and there's a tragedy to the fact that those chapters get read, they get thumbed through, and then they move from being the chapter you're reading and living right now to being the chapter that is a memory. And again, sometimes those chapter changes, just like in a book, are punctuated with a yes, a no, a decision. Other times they're punctuated with a tragedy. A whole lot of history happens in just a few sentences of conversation or a few moments of action that you then replay for the rest of your life. And I really think the stuff that we're going to be looking at over the next few days that we just started to touch on yesterday in Matthew 26, I think it takes us there, and maybe that's why I'm kind of in the reflective place, is I feel like we've kind of gone on this journey with Jesus and his disciples. I feel like the point of view character for you and me has been the disciples. I feel like I've sort of sat at the feet, maybe you feel the same way, of Jesus on this journey and what he's trying to equip them for and what he's trying to teach these disciples about. And they're stupid in the same ways I'm stupid. And sometimes they want to get it right in the same ways that sometimes I want to get it right. And much like the show The Wonder Years corresponded almost identically chronologically to my childhood, like Kevin Arnold was a couple of years ahead of me, but as his life was unfolding in each year of school, it was pretty close to the pace at which my life was unfolding. So the amount of time it's taken us to get through the book of Matthew corresponds just about equally to the amount of time that it took for all these things to actually occur. If you've been listening every day from the beginning, this is paced out at about the same pace that Peter experienced all of these things unfolding. And so I guess I'm kind of feeling something as we get to the end of this chapter, not like chapter 26 or a number. I mean, this chapter, this era, this moment of the time when Jesus was with these 12 guys, and maybe they knew what they had at moments. Maybe they didn't know what they had at moments. Maybe they appreciated it. Surely not enough. But who would have thought it would come to an end in a garden, just hanging out late at night after a big meal with everybody a little bit logy and tired. And it just happens when a group of people walk up and the whole thing is brought to an end, not with some gigantic calamity, not with some big harsh exchange of words, not with a meltdown, not with some really ugly falling out. It's brought to an end with a kind greeting and a kiss. Matthew 26:47, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, and with him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Friend, do what you came for." Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. And with that, the chapter of the time that the disciples were with Jesus and that they traveled around and that they had access to him all the time, that they could pick his brain, that they could ask him questions, that they could observe what he was doing. But the chapter comes to an end right here. We don't normally go to this next place with this podcast, but please indulge me for just a second here. You're in a chapter right now. I'm in a chapter right now. That chapter is going to be closed and another one is going to happen, and that's okay. This chapter in the history of things, this chapter that seems just unchangeable, like we're always going to be headed further in the direction we're headed right now, with money and economics working the way it works, with the political discussion being what it is, with everything always sliding further in one direction culturally. That's how things are. The internet and how we internet with each other, selfie culture, that's never going away. It's all forever. Well, no, it's not. It's a chapter in history in the same way that you and I are in a chapter in history. And those things that seem like they'll never change, they will change. And despite there being good things right now, it's for the best that those things will change. But those emotions that should come to the surface when we think about the chapters in our lives, the chapters in history, are something that I think as people who want to understand Matthew 26, I think it just merits acknowledging the fact that we have been on a journey for 3 years almost, just like these guys had been on a journey for 3 years almost. And at least for me, it felt important to take a moment and acknowledge that we have the closing of a chapter here, and to think about the chapters that have closed in my life, the ones that are yet to close later on, and allow the emotion that comes with that to be present here. If nothing else, out of empathy to the people who were involved, but also we've walked through it too. We're part of this story as people who are encountering it after the fact as well. And if you are like, why would you feel emotion about that? Like, that's weird. I don't really feel anything. Hey, that's cool. I do. I'm going to lean into it a little bit. So, yeah, this is just a moment in the text that makes me appreciate the tragedy of the parting. It makes me appreciate the sacrifice that's being made all that much more to head toward the cross. It makes me appreciate the pressures that the disciples are under and how that might inform their behavior. And it makes me feel things about my own story and the stories of the people I love. I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for the chapter that you and I are sharing together. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.